Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another super cool radio interview. I'm your host, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very excited to chat with my guest at this time. She's an incredible musician and vocalist, currently on the Y2K Reloaded Tour with Seventh Day Slumber. Please welcome Magdalene Rose.
Hi.
Awesome to chat with you. I know, as I said, you're currently on tour, so I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be talking with you today.
Well, I really appreciate it. I know a lot to discuss, obviously, with the current tour and everything that you have been working on. So I did want to start with this current tour, the Y2K Reloaded Tour. I know there's been a few obstacles with it, but how has everything been going so far?
It's been great. We had a few shows leading up to the Y2K tour, so to make it easier to make the drive all the way out to the West Coast. So we've been playing in New Mexico and Arizona, and the rest of the guys are flying in. So we should be meeting up with them this week I think we start again in Arizona and then make our way to California. And there's some Texas dates, and it's just going to be such an awesome time. I'm glad that it's finally warm again because I cannot handle the cold. So it's nice to be in a warm climate for a change.
I bet. I live in the Midwest, and I had 70-mile-an-hour winds last night, and I lost my recycling bin. So it's been great. I still haven't found it, by the way. I really don't know where it went.
Oh, my goodness. That is the thing. Right now we're in Arizona, and the wind has been crazy. So everyone is just like lotion, chapstick, everything, because your skin is so dried out right now.
Oh, yeah. This year's definitely been something for weather-wise, but anyway, weather aside, I'm glad everything has been going smoothly with everything. I know, obviously, some big news like leading up to this tour that some of the shows were canceled. Some of the churches didn't want you performing at these shows. So I don't want to get too much into it, but I just want to ask, for you, if you had the opportunity to speak to these people who didn't want to have you on these shows, what would you want them to know?
I think it's easy sometimes to just think oh, this is a business decision. We're just gonna not bring the show in, and sometimes pretty mean things are said. And I think sometimes it's just because they don't always recognize that it'll go back to the person or for whatever reason. And when people look different or the music sounds a little bit different, you don't have to like it. That's not something that we're trying to force on people. Everybody's entitled to their own preferences. But I think it's important to know that, people can be reached in a bunch of different ways. We tie our faith in Jesus into our music, into the things that I share on stage. And it does look a little different. It does look a little scary if you're not used to, the emo stuff, the metal stuff. It is very uncomfortable if you've never been introduced to something like that before. But there are a lot of people that's the only language that they will understand. And if we really believe in this Jesus that we talk about, I think it's important to be willing to do whatever it takes to reach people. And, I think it's going to take all of us. And I think that's the biggest thing, that it's just important that we work together instead of being so divisive.
I absolutely agree with that. So a little bit about me, I'm a son of a priest, actually, which,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's always interesting, to me. So obviously I grew up in the church, still attend the church to this day, and it's always interesting when and not specifically my congregation. The congregation I have is very supportive of everything I've been doing with my music podcast and music industry, which is awesome to see. And then there's some other other churches I've been to and things like that, and they kind of turn their nose up a little bit, at least in my experience of people who are in the music industry, or at least just people who choose different career avenues. Mm-hmm. And it just always makes me a little sad, because that's not what we're kind of what you were saying is there's bigger things to focus on and shouldn't be
exactly
as divisive with things. And that's what always kind of gets me with this is just because someone doesn't look a certain way that you think they would be, that for some reason they can't be a Christian or can't follow Jesus.
Yeah. I'm hoping that that's been kind of the case with me making the post. I just wanted to start a conversation, and it just kind of blew up from there. And I've had a lot of great conversations with people. One of the churches that canceled, their youth pastor actually reached out to me and apologized, and I was like, man, I really went about this the wrong way. I wish I could take it back. I just hope you can forgive me, because I haven't been at peace since all of this happened. and messages from people who are willing to try church again because they're seeing all of these people rally around us, and they're like, oh, maybe the people that hurt me aren't like every Christian. Maybe I can try church again, and maybe there's a family out there that is going to be willing to love me. And then I've got messages from other people that are like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how judgmental I was being. Thank you for opening my eyes. I'm gonna do better now. And so there's already been so many great conversations that are coming out of it. And that's not something that I think I could have ever done on my own. So it's just been crazy to see God move through all this, and then just everybody come and rally around us and support us and encourage us. It's been just the coolest thing that came out of like a super frustrating situation.
Oh, for sure. And I saw that, that support, which was so cool to see with everything, and just myself as well. I know I talked about it in one of my previous videos about the situation as well, and kind of expressed my own frustration, because I've definitely experienced that with some, some people I've met, and even like some friends of mine as well. And it's like, that's, there's definitely more to being like, religion and Christianity with everything than just like aesthetics or music tastes.
Yeah.
Which is funny, like, my dad being a priest, like, he grew up listening to Black Sabbath and AC/DC. So,
oh my goodness.
But this kind of leads me to my question that I did want to ask you, because this is definitely something that I've struggled with, just for me and myself. But do you find it challenging to be a Christian and involved in the music industry?
I think in some cases there are challenges, and in other cases it seems a little bit easier. For one thing, there's like not a lot of money to go around in the music industry, and so sometimes it's really easy to get super stressed about that. But for us, talking about our faith and being really bold about it, that also requires us to trust God to provide. And sometimes it's easy to trust, and sometimes it's really hard. And it's awesome that we have a family out here on tour who, it's not just me and my husband, but our guitar player and his wife gets to come out sometimes. Our other guitar players, it's all just a big family out here. And we're on tour with Seventh Day Slumber, who are literally my in-laws. But it's such a tight-knit community out here that everybody is able to support each other and keep each other encouraged in those times where it's like, oh man, money's really tight. And there are times when money just shows up and we don't know where it came from. And I think that part makes it a little bit easier. And it's not just like this blind faith. There's actual circumstances that have happened that help us, when we get into those times of like, oh my goodness, this is really scary, and I hope we can pay our bills. We're just going to go out in faith. And there's always a way that money is provided, which is awesome. And I think it's a little bit bigger for us. And I know there's bands that aren't Christian who are also kind of that same mindset where they're doing music to help people. I think that helps make it easier too, because you could be playing shows to two people, and if you're only in it for the money and for fame and for like just making music, that's going to get really tiring really quickly. But when you're doing this type of thing to help people and to encourage people, even if it's just two people that are at the show, if you have a conversation, like that could be the difference between them living the next day or not. And that's super awesome. And that makes just the whole thing way bigger, and it makes it so much more worth it. But there are times when it is struggling, or it is hard, and it feels like you're struggling because you're not always accepted by people who are in the Christian industry, and then you're not always accepted by people who aren't in the Christian industry because you're too Christian for them. So that part makes it a little bit difficult, and there's a little bit of a balance you have to find. But we always know that the tours that we need to be on will come our way, and there will be if we're supposed to be playing in a certain area or with a certain band or in any sort of avenue, we know that there will be a way for it to work out. And God has been sending bands our way. God has obviously put us in line with Seventh Day Slumber to help build all like this solid foundation as a band. And I think that helps a lot. There's a lot of bands that are like us that are Christian, but they also play the general market scene. And we've been able to find like an extended family in them, where it's not as hard when you face the rejection, because that they've also faced the same thing, and you have a place to belong, and people to go to and speak with, and like, hey, have you ever felt this? I'm like, oh yeah, I have, don't worry. And you have like an extended like little bond there. And so I think that makes it easy when in the times where it is tough.
Oh, for sure. Having people, having a support group and just people who've gone through that as well, like you find that kind of common ground, regardless of like, what kind of music or just, what kind of style they're into, like having that kind of common ground helps out so much with
Yeah.
everything. But also kind of speaking to the whole like financial side of it, I know for like me myself, like I went through, earlier this year where I lost my steady job, unfortunately. So kind of going through that and like, okay, how am I gonna, continue on and do all this stuff? And then after like a while, I just stopped worrying about it. And like now,
Mhm.
fast forward a few months later, I'm actually doing fine. Like I went
That's
from all that
awesome.
worrying to like, I know God will provide in whatever way that he sees fit. And
Mhm.
honestly, this month has been doing fantastic for me. So
That's so awesome.
yeah, and it was the worrying was definitely not needed, and I kind of
It
learned that
eats away
lesson.
at you, but it's so hard not to.
Exactly, and that's kind of where I've kind of learned just like God will provide. I'm going to put my trust in Him, my faith in Him, and things will
Mhm.
work out in some way, even if it's not what I expected. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah.
But now I did want to, kind of transition to the live performance side with everything since you are currently on tour. So, a question I've been asking my guests lately, because I'm very curious, especially for you. So, do you approach like performing live differently than like recording music in a studio?
I think a little bit. I think live we have a little bit more, not flexibility, but there's a little bit more room for error where you're willing to take risks on things and you're moving around a lot more, and so you have to figure out, is this worth it for me to like maybe not hit this note, but if I do something really cool on stage, will it balance out? Will that be worth it? But in studio, it's like, okay, you have to find a way to get that same energy, but you're also not running around on stage, and you have to get this absolutely perfect, and you have to do it at the same time 50 times in a row. And the recording stuff is definitely a little bit more tedious, and I think live there's some extra moments for like spontaneity, and sometimes that'll bite you in the butt, but sometimes it pays off.
For sure. I mean, I think the live performance, you definitely have more fun with it. I think the studio is definitely more structured with everything that, like, I mean, you can
Yeah.
still have that spontaneity, but it's, has to be calculated at some point.
Yeah.
But also going along with the live show. So our mutual friend Mark Tingle wanted me to ask you this question. So he wants to know, when are you going to wear the South Bend Cubs jersey on stage?
Oh my goodness, if we play um in that state, I need to bring it. I need to bring it on tour so I can just have it on hand. I wore that for probably like a week straight after I got it because I felt so cool.
I saw Seventh Day Slumber. That's how I got the shirt.
Oh, that's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah. So at that, which was so funny because I didn't even know that was going to happen after the baseball game. So that was really, it was a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was that was literally one of the coolest things. I didn't even play. I was just there to hang out, and I was like, this is so awesome.
Oh, yeah, it is. It was so cool, and just just the whole aesthetic of being in a baseball park while having a concert is just so cool to me.
Yeah, and I think that might have been my very first baseball game ever too. So I was like, I've never been able to watch this live before, and I have a jersey now, and we're watching a concert now, and I got to throw a pitch on the field, like I think after the game. I was like, this is so much. This is so cool.
Oh, for sure. No, the South Bend Cubs are amazing. So it is. It was definitely a very cool experience. I'm glad you had a great time with it all as well. So hopefully we'll see you. I will see you back in South Bend at some point.
Yeah, maybe the next time I'll be able to play, and I'll definitely have my jersey on for that one.
Very good. Very good. All right, so but also since we are talking about like different like venues and shows and things like that, so like I'm very curious. So especially for you, is it different performing at a church compared to like a like venue or festival or like a baseball park or something like that?
Yeah, there is a bit of a difference. Every once in a while, um, you'll play at a church, and like their youth group or maybe their like young adults group are just so used to going to concerts, and they're like, oh, we know exactly what to do. But a lot of times when we play churches, people have never even been to a concert before because we like to go to a lot of small towns that concerts don't normally go to, and sometimes they just don't really know what to do, and they're filming and they're having a great time, and they need a little bit of extra instruction. So I'm like, all right, let's jump. And then they're like, oh, okay, now we'll jump. And so they kind of were their first introduction into like rock concerts and stuff, which I think is super cool. And but every once in a while you'll get like the festivals, like even the Christian festivals and like general market festivals are a little bit different. One of our favorite ones to play though is Life Fest, and there's another one called Upright, and they have like a super cool like rock community in the Christian scene, and they know exactly what to do. They will lose their minds for you. They know how to mosh, and they're not scared to move around, and those ones are super fun. And those ones are actually the ones that I have crowd surfed the most at, which is always scary for me to do, but they always take good care of me. But there is definitely a little bit of a different atmosphere when it comes to like the live part of it. And I think it's cool to be able to introduce people in a space where like they would feel a little bit safer, especially having kids. You know, sometimes the general market shows aren't all ages. And so we can introduce young kids to concerts and stuff, which I think is just the coolest thing ever.
Oh, it definitely is, and we definitely need more like all ages like venues or like places that like like teens and children can go. Because like I think I didn't start going until I was like 15 or 16, and that was like a performing arts center. Not kind of a different thing. So, but there's definitely gotta be more places, because a lot of places, especially like in my area, is like it's like a bar, so you have to be 21.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's sad, because I feel like there used to be a lot more all ages venues, or bands would be able to play at like the mall or even like skate parks and stuff. And I feel like that doesn't happen as often. And that's something that I hope we're able to do we start like branching out and doing more shows. I know there's a new skate park like outside of Nashville, and we have a few friends that are also local to the area. So we're like, I wonder if we should just put on a show at the skate park. That would be so cool. And so I'm hoping more people do that more and more now, especially as there's a whole new generation of rock bands coming out, and they have somewhat of a younger fan base. And so I'm hoping that will push people to do something about it and bring back these all ages venues.
Oh, definitely. Like I'm all for it, because again, it's, as someone who's a huge fan of music like myself, like being able to go to shows, especially at a younger age, being exposed to like, really cool up and coming bands, or just bands that I really enjoy at a younger age, to me is totally like very much worth it and should happen.
Yeah, and I feel like it gives them something to do as well, because so many kids are just either stuck inside, especially after COVID. There's a lot of schooling that just switched to online, and they don't know how to communicate as well. And I think that they were stripped from a lot of that, having to be pulled out of school for so long in those like developmental years. And I think being introduced to something like going to concerts at a younger age would be really good for them and help them experience people like in this kind of neutral area where they find people to have something in common with. They can have different conversations, but there's also not as much pressure because there's music, so you don't have to talk the whole time. And I think that would be really cool to just give them another avenue of things to do. And I've started to see more like younger kids hanging out in the mall again, which is really exciting, because that was something that people my age did. I wasn't allowed to because my parents were super strict, but I always watched from a distance, and I thought that was super cool. And so it's cool that kids are going outside again, and they're going into these different like places again, instead of just being stuck inside. And I think that became such like a standard for a while, and then people were scared to leave their house, and we're just now starting to get over that fear, which is really cool. And so I'm excited to see what the future looks like with that.
Oh, definitely. I am too with everything, and definitely for like social skills and just social interaction, it is very much a necessity.
Yeah, and that's even something that I feel like I kind of struggled with for a little bit too. We just got so used to being home, and like even all the interviews were online instead of having any in person, and shows even stopped for a while. And so then you have to kind of relearn how to talk to people again. And you're like, oh man, I got really awkward in a few months. Like,
I know. I'm more accustomed to the virtual ones, but I so much prefer the in-person ones. To me, I think I get like a better interview. You can feel that kind of energy. You can actually, there's no barriers of communication. Like I always prefer in person, but I started the podcast in 2019, and man, that was just bad timing.
But it worked out for you.
Oh, I know. We're still doing it, and I'm still having a great time. So I mean, that's the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But no, I did want to transition to a few other things before we start to close out this interview. So I'm curious for you, since we are talking about the live performance, you know, obviously the huge aspect of it is the set list for a show. So I'm curious for you, what is your favorite song to perform live?
That's a really tough one because I feel like it definitely does change with each crowd. Our song Guerrilla Warfare is a really fun one to do. It's one of our heaviest songs, and it's just there's a lot of stuff going on vocally. There's a lot of stuff going on with the guitars and the drums, and so everybody's just running around on stage. And usually in like the bridge breakdown of that song, I get out into the crowd and I have people do a circle pit around me if there's space for that, and if we are actually even playing that song at the venue. So that one's a really fun one to do because there is so much interaction and there's just so much going on. But we have another song called Expect the Unexpected, I Didn't. And that one is a pretty light, like pop punk song that is just very energetic. And that one, everybody jumps with us. We get to play that one a lot more often than we do Guerrilla Warfare. And that one's really fun because everyone is just like, oh, I know how to jump. And everyone just gets into it. And we've added an extended outro to it that gets really heavy at the end. And everyone, it's just so cool to see, like, watch the videos back and you hear everyone in the crowd go, oh, when the heaviness comes in because they're just not expecting it. So I think those two are definitely the most fun to play live right now.
Those crowd interactions for both those songs sound amazing.
And those are the most fun too because of the crowd. You know, especially if there's a crowd who's not really used to the rock music stuff, and then you play something and they're like, oh, I know how to do this. You're like, oh my goodness, we won them over. We're like, they like us. And that helps you feel more like energetic. So then you start doing more, and then the crowd starts doing more, and you just feed off of each other's energy. And I think that's so much fun. And I don't know, it just, in those moments, there's nothing you can do but smile and laugh on stage. And you're like, oh, this is so awesome.
Oh yeah, that is the best, smile and take it in and just enjoy those moments. 'Cause that's just so cool to see, especially with the crowd getting into a show, then you get into the show, and then it just builds and builds and builds. It's so awesome to see that just happen organically.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things ever.
Oh, for sure. Now, also, last question before we start to wrap this up, before we talk about, everything that you have in the works for this year. But I'm curious, since you talked about, Seventh Day Slumber, you're currently on tour with them. They're your in-laws. So I'm curious, what is your favorite Seventh Day Slumber song?
I really like Awake. That is the first song that I ever found by them. It's so funny. I used to listen to them on Pandora before I even knew, like, Blaze or anybody in the band. I think I listened to Awake and Burning Bridges, and I had no idea who the band was. I was just like, oh, these songs are really cool, and they were just in my random, like, Pandora station or whatever. And then I kind of forgot about them for a little bit, and in my first band, GFM, we were kind of starting to do, like, the local scene and then the regional scene, and then we got a radio promoter, and he was like, I'm going to reach out to this band and see if they'll take you on tour. And we're like, okay. And then when we got out on tour and they played that song, I was like, wait, I know this song. And I was like, I can never tell Blaze. I can never tell him that I know them and that I used to listen to a couple of their songs. And then when I was like, hey, I think I know this song. I think I used to listen to this. And he's like, oh my goodness, you are a fan, girl. And I was like, no, it's not like that. So now every time they play it, I don't know, it just makes me laugh because I'm like, there's no way that this happened the way it did.
It is funny how life works out like that. But now, as we're starting to close out this interview, so obviously we're heading into May right now. So what's kind of the rest of 2026 looking like for you?
So we definitely have new music in the works. We're hoping to at least have a new song out really soon, but we are working on a lot of new music, and we are hoping to have a lot of it out for people this year. We've got lots more tours. Like, we're about to go on tour with the Y2K tour. We'll be on West Coast, and then we have some more like Midwest and East Coast dates that are going to be announced. We have a really cool show announcement that is going to be out there soon. We have a lot of touring stuff that we're going to be talking about shortly, and then lots of new music, and then hopefully some videos. I think that would be really cool. We haven't really done a ton of music videos, and I really want to do more of those, so I think that would be awesome. But yeah, lots of cool things regarding releases and touring and we can't wait to share it with everybody.
Well, I'm really excited to see how the rest of the shoot goes for you, and I'm excited for all the announcements when they are officially released as well.
I know, I'm like waiting till I have at least the go ahead to be like, hey, what about rough like ballpark? When can I tell people that? It's like, not yet.
I totally understand. But for everyone watching, where are the best place to find Magdalene Rose online?
So I run all of my social media. We're on literally everything. You can find us at official Magdalene Rose, and our website is also officialmagdalenrose.com, and everything is linked there. So if you want your like one-stop shop for everything, the website's an easy place to go to find it. We have our music videos linked. We have our email list. We have our merch store. We have all the social medias and the music streaming sites linked there. So anything you need, you can just go look up officialmagdalenrose.com, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it there.
All right, well, I'll make it even easier. I will have some links for Magdalene Rose in the description of this podcast as well. Please check out and support there. Coming to an area near you. Make sure to see her live as well. But Magdalene, thank you so much for hanging out and chat with me.
Thank you for having me. It has been so much fun talking to you.
Likewise, it's been incredible. So please check out and support her. For Magdalene Rose, I'm your host, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.